Amazing, amazing. Welcome, guys. So my 3 hidden secrets to lose 20 pounds of belly fat and balance hormones in 90 days. Now, I want to welcome you guys to make sure that you put your phones away, make sure that you literally lock yourselves in your closets, do whatever it is that you need to do, because I really honor the fact that you've taken the time to be here today and that you've taken the time away from your busy lives to actually focus on you and allow yourself the time to truly up level your health and your body so you can step into the diva that you actually are, right? This is not about you shifting or changing yourself. This is about returning to the you that maybe you lost from, I don't know, maybe you had kids, maybe you went through a rough patch, maybe you just fell out of the routines that you used to have when you used to be maybe more athletic and exercise and eat healthier, right? Things happen, life happens, hormones happen too, right? Which we're going to dive into. So I want you to all take this time to create the safe space here within this masterclass that we're creating today to really just honor yourself, honor your body, accept exactly where you are now, and open up to be able to really intake this information so you can get the absolute most from this masterclass. Because I'm going to go deep, guys. Most of the time, I have only ever given this information to high-level clients, which pay thousands of dollars to work with me one-on-one, right? And this is the first time, well, I'll say the second time, right? Because this is round 2. The first time was this Thursday. But this is the second time ever that I have shared these secrets. So welcome, everyone. I'm so, so excited to have you. And make sure you stay until the very end, right? This is going to be around 60 to 75 minutes. So make sure that you guys put that time aside and that you really listen in and allow yourself to join in on this amazing masterclass, because at the end, I'm actually going to be giving away a gift and a prize to every single one of you who is watching this and who participates. So make sure you stay till the end so that you can actually take hold of that gift. So let's dive in, guys. So essentially for me, before I dive in, I want to be able to give you an idea of my story and what led me to this place in my life where I'm now health coaching and where I've now worked with over 59 other women, helping them do just that, lose at least minimum 20 pounds in 90 days of belly fat, balance their hormones, have more energy, cut cravings, and be able to actually remember and step back into the diva that they are and truly step into the beautiful person that you are within, right? So I've done this, have an amazing success rate, but how did I get there? So as you can see, I actually started out as a high-level athlete, right? I was a barrel racer since the age of 9, and I actually went to places like Mississippi, like Vigera, Italy, and I was ranked one of the top youth in Ontario and also won top 3 at the International Youth Championships in Italy, right? So this was like my thing, right? I was all in. And if you're wondering, barrel racing is a horseback event. If you guys don't know what that is, make sure you Google it, check it out. It's super cool. It's not rolling down a hill in a barrel, right? So this was the start of my life, but then I actually ended up in a place where I ended up fracturing one of my vertebrae, one of my lower vertebrae, from a few bad falls and bad accidents off of the horses. And that's what led me down this spiel and this whole kind of track that I've been on that really started it. It was kind of the push that I needed to start this new life. And even though at the time it seemed awful, because I actually had to make the really tough decision to take something that I thought was going to be the entire rest of my life that I had created around horses and to shift out of it. So I ended up selling my horses. I stopped barrel racing at the age of 21. And this is when I really had to decide to make a change. And this is when I truly decided that I was going to start putting my health first. So I went through a bunch of rehab. And then it was at this point that I started to go into a whole bunch of other things. So I became a varsity cross country runner. Then I did some sprinting, right? I was a 200 and 400 meter runner. And then I went into bodybuilding. And then I went through a whole other slew of health issues, right? So as you can see on the left-hand side here, this was about 3 years ago. And this was my picture of the last competition that I did, which was provincials, which I got to within about 2 competitions. So it was awesome. But because of all of the different crazy diets I had been on, because I literally tried it all, guys. After I got out of the horses, I was going on absolutely any diet that I could possibly think of. I tried keto. I tried intermittent fasting. I tried low carb. I tried paleo. I tried this. I tried my favorite, Instagram models, cookie cutter meal plan. I tried so many different approaches just to get myself to a place where I had messed up my hormones so badly that I had started to gain belly fat. I had started to have my skin just be super puffy and red. As you can see, right? I had literally boils on my face here. And this was after I had been on all of these crazy fad diets. I was puffy. I felt sluggish. I had crazy sugar and salt cravings. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't even feel like getting out of bed in the morning. And it was at the point where I had to go for MRI scans because the doctors actually thought that I had a non-cancerous brain tumor because of how messed up my hormones were. I had the same profile as someone who had a brain tumor. That's how bad it got. And then also I had to go for scans and ultrasounds because I was diagnosed with PCOS. So I still remember sitting in the doctor's office. This was 3 years ago. It was October. It was kind of chilly. I remember sitting in the doctor's office, and it was an endocrinologist. And literally he was telling me, he was like, Stephanie, you're probably going to have to go on IVF when you have kids. You might struggle to have kids. For now, I'm going to prescribe you with these different, like 5 different medications that are going to help alleviate this symptom, but then make this symptom worse and, you know, help you feel better in this way. But then it's going to make your blood pressure go all messed up. And you're going to have to stay on these forever, pretty much. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, how did I get to this place? How did I get to this point in my life where literally my health had been thrown out the window? I had no clue how I had gotten to a place where now I was having to be prescribed medication that I was going to have as a life sentence to be on for the rest of my life. And it was at this point where I had to decide, I had to make a decision, and I literally decided no more. I decided I am not going to go down this route, and I'm going to do everything that I can and say enough is enough to actually fix my body in a natural way. So at this point, I already had over 10 years of experience as a personal trainer in, you know, high level athletics, all of these different things, right? But this was at the point where I decided I needed to shift. So I shifted into holistic nutrition. I shifted, and I actually ended up getting certified in integrative nutrition. I had already, graduated from a bachelor in biology. Bachelor in phys ed. I had switched from bachelor in biology. And it was at this point where I started diving into holistic nutrition, using food as medicine. And I started shifting the approach that I took with all the other diets I had been on. And I created something completely different. It was completely different than anything I'd ever done. It didn't have anything to do with deprivation. I was actually nurturing and giving my body the nourishment that it needed every single day. And I shifted completely into this space, and it was amazing. Within 90 days, I already saw the puffiness went down. That actually went down within about, 2 weeks, right? The swelling went down, the puffiness went down. I started to lose the belly fat. It just started to melt off. My skin started to clear up. I started to have more energy. I finally started to feel like me again. And this is when I realized where I was saying, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I need to share this with more women. This is something that more women need to have access to. And this is actually when I went into coaching. This is when I started coaching. And then from that point on, I've now helped over 59 other women do exactly the same thing. And we have over a 99% success rate with our Purify system, which I'm going to share with you right now. So make sure that you get your pen and your paper ready, guys, because this is truly going to be transformational. It's truly going to be incredible. It's truly going to shift any of the perspectives that maybe you thought you had before over losing weight, when it comes to eating healthy, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to supporting your body on a healthy level. This will totally shift it. So who's excited? I know that we're live on Facebook. Unfortunately, I can't see any of your comments right now. So let me just open up my phone so that I can actually see your comments. But I want you guys to comment below where you are tuning in from today, right? When we did round 1 of this amazing masterclass a couple weeks ago, it was actually just a couple days ago. We had some people from all around the world. We had people from the States. We had people from Canada. We had people that originated from Europe. It was just so much fun. And we literally had such a blast. So I'm really excited to be able to share all of this with you too. So comment below where you're tuning in from right now. And let's dive in, everyone. Who's excited? Comment me below if you're excited to dive into our system. So before I dive in, I want to actually give you guys an idea about the fact that this is actually something that's helped real women that have the same problems as you do, right? That struggle with cravings, that have struggled with feeling bloated, that have tried so many different approaches like fasting and like keto and paleo and all these different things, and maybe had fast success and then gained all of the weight back because the approach wasn't sustainable, or they just got on the scale and the numbers continued to go up, right? How many of you guys can relate to that? And it was really beautiful because I was speaking with one of our new clients the other day, and that's what she was saying, right? She was saying, this is so frustrating. I feel like I'm trying to eat healthy. I feel like I'm doing all the right things. I'm trying to exercise. I'm trying to eat healthy, right? But I step on the scale and the numbers go up. Like, this is so crazy. And this is so common. So if you have struggled with this before, with any of these things that I mentioned, you are not alone. Actually, you're amongst so many women that struggle with these exact same things. And all you need to do is have an approach that helps you tweak the portions you have, the amount you have, the kinds of foods that you're eating. It's not just about calories in and calories out. All you need are a few simple tweaks. And that's all I did with these women. Obviously, we have a very in-depth system, but a few simple tweaks to make them have results like this. This beautiful woman, this before and after picture, guys, guess how many weeks apart this was? This was only 4 weeks. How incredible is that? She looks like a totally different woman, absolutely amazing, but actually looks like herself, right? And then of course, when it comes to the numbers, so she lost 15 pounds, that was within about 8 to 10 weeks, she lost that amount of weight, right? But this picture was actually 4 weeks apart. How awesome is that? And I still remember she messaged me saying, this is so true. I was into week 1 noticing a huge reduction in bloating. My cravings for chips and other unhealthy snacks have drastically reduced as well, right? How many of you think it would be so much easier to stick to an approach and to a program long-term, because what we do is truly create sustainable results that last? How many of you feel like it would be easier to do that if you didn't have cravings anymore? Right? All of you guys should be saying me. So essentially, this other woman, absolutely amazing. She was super excited. I'm down 18 pounds in 12 weeks. That's amazing. And then of course, this other beautiful soul, she was down 17 pounds and 7 inches in only 5 weeks. How incredible is that? How many of you would love to get results like that, right? Comment me below, because I'm actually going to give you the system I use to help them get these results. So before we dive into that, I just want to give you guys a quick overview of what we're going to be sharing today. So what is the Purify system? You're probably hearing this, a lot, or if you've been following me for a while, you might have started to hear this and say, like, what is this? What is this Purify system, right? And the Purify system is really that. It's meant to purify you. It's meant to eliminate anything that's extra within you, like toxins, fat, all of these things that really hold you back from stepping into the true, beautiful, authentic you that you are. And it's really meant to have you remember who you are. It's really meant to have you step into that absolute highest version of you. And we do it in 3 simple steps. The first step is to balance your hormones. It's the moment that your hormones are balanced, the fat will literally start to melt off of your stomach, melt off of your body, right? And then number 2, burn belly fat. Of course, this is going to be through different modalities, different tools we use that you'll have in your toolkit by the end of this masterclass that are going to teach you how to eat properly, how to nurture your body with the right kinds of foods, and also debunk a lot of myths that are out there that have been steering you down the wrong path, which is one of the reasons why you still aren't getting the results that you want. Because if you're watching this right now, obviously you have either not tried something and you're really not sure even where to start, right? You just don't know where to start. There's so many approaches out there and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much noise. Please just cut it all and give me something that actually makes sense. So that's the one type, which is amazing. And yes, this is totally for you. And then the other type too is going to be someone that maybe you've tried so many different approaches and you failed, or you've had the quick success but gained it all back. This is also for you, right? To actually give you long-term lasting results. And then number 3 is helping you tone and maintain. And this is really, really key. So these are the 3 things we're going to dive into, guys. If you're excited, comment excited below. I am super excited because like I said, I have never shared this information before. So before we dive in, I want to take a quiz. Who loves quizzes, right? I love quizzes. And this quiz is simply to help you gain a deeper understanding of your body, gain a deeper understanding of which of your 3 hormone centers might be out of whack and which ones actually need help, support, tender love, and care, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to take a pen and paper, and I want you to essentially get yourself to a place where you're just putting little notches. So it's going to be a score out of 6. Okay, so there's only 3 questions on each page. There's going to be 2 pages of questions to answer. It'll take us about 5 minutes. So who's ready? Let's dive in. Number 1, how long do you go between meals? Now, if you go any longer than 3 hours, I want you to put a notch down for yourself, right? Just put a little tick mark beside number 1. Okay. Number 2, how long before you have a natural bowel movement in the morning? So what I want you to do is, if between the time that you wake up in the morning and then the time that you go to the washroom and have your first bowel movement of the day without coffee, right? Without coffee or laxatives, this is a big one. How long is that? And if it's longer than 20 minutes, then I want you to give yourself a little notch beside question number 2. Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, question number 3, where do you hold most of your weight? This one is not going to be notches. This is actually going to be a written answer that I want you to answer down. So, and this we're going to answer later on when we go through the system. So where do you hold most of your weight? I want you to either put down on your belly, right? I want you to either put down that, your hips, thighs, and butt as the second option, or just put down that you hold it equally everywhere, right? So write down the specific areas that you hold most of your weight. Amazing? Got it? All right, let's keep going. So now, question number 4. Do you have sugar and salt cravings, right? And let's use, because most of us are going to say, yes, of course we have sugar and salt cravings. Every single person does. But I'm talking legitimate cravings. I'm talking about things where if you had a scale of 1 to 10 and you were to rate your cravings higher than a 5, I want you to give yourself a little ding, right? A 5 or a higher. I want you to give yourself a little notch for number 4. Question number 5, do you gain weight easily? Now, I'm not talking about the, you saying, oh, well, of course I would gain weight if I were to eat, chips and candy for a week or a month or whatever it is. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, do you gain weight easily, as in, do you feel like if you eat like a cube of cheese, you've gained a pound, right? That kind of thing. Like, is it super easy for you to gain weight? If it is, give yourself a notch. Okay, amazing. Now, lastly, number 6, do you have PMS, headaches, or feel sluggish? Right? Anything associated with these kinds of symptoms, I want you to give yourself a notch. Amazing. So at this point, let's tally it up. Let's see. So I want you to go back and I want you to see what your score is out of, we'll do the score out of 5 because one question was actually written down. So we'll do your score out of 5. So if you have, let's say, anything above, or anything, honestly, if you have written down a notch into any single one of these questions, then this is definitely going to be extremely helpful for you, because we're going to address all of these things within this masterclass. Now, if you are someone that has like a 3, 4, maybe even a 5 out of 5, this 100% is your body speaking to you, right? Even if you're a 1 or a 2, this is your body speaking to you saying, hey, this is the area that you need to focus on. This is the area that you need to help me with. I need help. It's crying out to you. Your body is always talking to you. It's up to us to understand what those signs and symptoms are, so that we can actually help our body heal, right? So let's dive in, guys. And how many of you absolutely love that quiz, right? I want you to just comment a yes down if you love the quiz, and if this is something that actually gave you more awareness, and now you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that these are some of the things that I was struggling with. I really, really, truly do need help with this. So let's dive in, guys. Now, before we go through the system, and I know that I've said that a couple times, but I really truly believe in empowering you with understanding the why behind the what. And this is why I take so long to help you guys gain more awareness about your body. This is why I take time to actually go over these things with you, to teach you about your 3 hormone centers, because the more you know why, the more power you hold in your hands to be able to say, hey, I actually understand what's going on in my body. So let me shift this. Let me use the right kind of nutrition to be able to change how I'm eating, so that I can actually be able to heal my body, not have to go on a bunch of medication, not have to struggle, especially the way that maybe you already have been, or that you're seeing maybe your parents or your grandparents having to go through, or siblings, right? We want you to be able to be the one that breaks that chain, right? So the 3 different hormone centers, essentially, you have 3 different centers that are governing most of the hormones that are going on in your body. The first one is your thyroid, and your thyroid is actually right here. It's underneath your chin. Now, the next one is right here, which is your adrenals, and they actually sit on top of your kidneys. And then the last one is your ovaries, right? Obviously, if you're a man, it would be the testes, but if you're a woman, it would be the ovaries, which you already know where that is. So these are your 3 hormone centers. Now let me help address some of the questions that we answered before when it comes to saying, okay, did I maybe struggle a lot with salt and sugar cravings? If you're someone who said yes to this, and also if you're someone who said that you gained weight on your belly, this is a really good, and these are 2 really good indications that your adrenals are needing some tender love and care, needing some help. Now, your adrenals are really the glands. When we say adrenal fatigue, we're literally talking about burnout, right? Where you're feeling so sluggish, so exhausted. Doesn't matter what you do, all you want to do is sleep, and just you don't want to wake up in the morning. You're turning into a night owl, right? All of these things have to do with the hormone cortisol, which we're going to dive into within the system. But for now, I want you to understand that if you answered yes to those questions, you most likely need to give your adrenals some TLC. We'll dive into how to do that as well. Now, number two, when it comes to the thyroid, in general, your thyroid is a really big governing piece of your metabolism. It plays a really big role in keeping your metabolism revving. Now, people with hypothyroidism are essentially people that have a really slow and sluggish thyroid. Now, we're going to talk a little bit on how the liver and the thyroid play a really big role in your metabolism a little bit later. But for now, I just want you to know that the weight gain, right? If you're finding you're gaining weight a lot just in general, right? If you're finding this is a struggle, you're feeling super sluggish. And also another sign, which we didn't mention in the quiz, is if your nails and your hair are super brittle, these are indications that your thyroid needs some help and some TLC. Now, lastly is your ovaries, right? Now, a really big telltale sign that you need help and you need to be able to help your system, especially when it has to do with estrogen dominance, which has to do with your ovaries, is if you gain weight mostly on your hips, butt, and thighs. Also, if you have PMS, if you have headaches, again, if you're feeling sluggish, this all has to do with estrogen dominance, and it all has to do with your ovaries. So if you had said yes to any of these questions, right, on the quiz, then this means that you most likely need to give your ovaries some TLC. And I am going to guess that most of you said yes to almost all of these, right, to some extent or another. And that there's pieces of every single one of these different hormone centers that you're saying, yeah, I definitely need help with that. I struggle with this. This is something that I really do need to dive into. So now that you understand this, now that you understand more about your body, because that's truly what I want to do. I want to empower you. So now that you understand more, let's actually dive into our 3-step system. Now, the first step of the system, of the Purify system, is number 1, balancing your hormones. Now, why is this the first step? Why is this not the second or the last step? The reason why is because of the fact that your hormones are really the key piece and like the foundation to the rest of all of the transformations you want to create with your body. So if your hormones are not in check, this is most likely one of the reasons why you've tried a lot of approaches and failed. It's because of the fact that your hormones are working against you. So you're having to work harder. You're having to eat less. You're having to starve yourself. You're having to spend hours at the gym or hours doing cardio, and you're still not seeing results. Big chance is that your hormones are super out of whack and they need help first. But the best part is that you can have it all. Once you're balancing your hormones, the weight starts to just fall off. So don't worry, and you don't have to think that, oh my gosh, I have to take all of this time to balance my hormones. I'm not going to be able to lose weight. I have to do all of this. No, no, no. You can have it all, which is amazing. You can balance your hormones. As you balance your hormones, the fat will start to melt away. Now, why is that? And how do you balance your hormones? The number 1 step in hormone balance is balancing your blood sugar levels. Now, why is this? Why is balancing your blood sugar so important when it comes to helping balance your hormones? And also, as I explain this, it's also going to debunk the whole intermittent fasting, thing and fad that's going on right now. Not to say that intermittent fasting is totally bad. Once again, it has its area that it's good. For men, for instance, it can be a really great thing for men. Men can have amazing results on intermittent fasting because of the fact that their hormones are not as intricate as women, right? And I see amazing ladies on here, people like Cindy, I see Jen, amazing, right? So there's a lot of amazing ladies on here that are watching this and that are saying, okay, so right, why is it that intermittent fasting isn't something that I should do? Well, first of all, like I said, women's hormones, way more intricate than men's. But let's dive in even deeper, right? That's the superficial level. Let's dive in deeper. Why is that? So when it comes to intermittent fasting, I want you to understand what's going on with your liver, because balancing your hormones, this whole first step, your liver is actually the key organ that we are working with in order to help you balance your hormones. As you can see on number 2, support the liver, right? So Let's dive into the liver. Why is the liver so important? And this will also help answer your question as to why it doesn't seem like it doesn't matter what it is that you do, those last 20 pounds just seem to be holding on for dear life. So let's talk about your liver. Let's talk about its actual functions and the fact that obviously you already know this, you're smart, intelligent women, right? Your liver plays a key function in detoxifying your body, right? It helps change something that might be a toxic compound, it turns it into a neutralized compound and helps eliminate it from the body. That's a really main factor of the liver. It also helps a lot with a lot of other converting processes with your hormonal system. So let's talk about going long periods of time without eating, right? This addresses question number 1 of the quiz. How long do you go without eating? If you said that you go longer than 3 hours, this is considered, right, going a long period of time without eating. So what happens is that if your liver is trying to do all of these functions of detoxifying your body, getting rid of all of the, bad and toxic hormones that are causing you to gain weight and feel sluggish and all of these things. And instead, it has to now turn off those processes and say, hey, I actually now have to make sure that the body is going to survive, because the liver is also responsible for converting glycogen from your system. So, right, carbohydrates that you eat get converted into glycogen and then get stored in your muscles and in your liver. So what happens is if you go long periods of time without eating and your body says, hey, my blood sugar is dropping, right? I don't have a lot of blood sugar right now. We need to boost this blood sugar so we don't pass out or die. What does the liver do? The liver says, okay, awesome. Let me turn off of all my other detoxification processes and hormone balancing processes, and let me turn on the process of converting all of that stored glycogen that it had as stores back into blood glucose so that you don't pass out or die, right? The body is always going to choose survival over all the other processes. So what happens is that if you're going long periods of time without eating, i.e. intermittent fasting, what is your liver doing? It's working on overdrive, right? It's starting to get exhausted. It's being taxed by always having to convert glycogen into glucose so you don't pass out and die. I know that might sound a little bit extreme, but that's essentially how your body thinks, right? It needs to keep you alive. So what does this have to do with hormones? What does this have to do with weight loss? Because right now you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm getting like a science lesson, which you are, right? You need to understand your body, and you can totally choose if you want to or not. But this is why it's so important to understand this basic process. And you're going to realize that I spend longest on this piece, on this number 1 step, because of how important it is. So what does that have to do when it comes to fat loss? What does that have to do with having to lose weight? Well, let's say your body is in the state that most people's is right now, right? With the pollution we have in the world, with the fact that our oceans are full of plastic, with the fact that we have pesticides that are sprayed on 95% at least of all of our different fruits and vegetables that we're eating, if we're not eating organic, right? We are in this constant toxic overload of things like heavy metals, microplastics that eventually end up into xenoestrogens. What's a xenoestrogen? Xenoestrogens are toxic estrogens. It's not the good estrogen that you need, right? Any of you ladies that are going through menopause, you're probably thinking, but my estrogen's low, right? I need to keep all my estrogen. Yeah, your natural estrogen, not this extra toxic estrogen that we're under. And just to give you an idea of the global pandemic of estrogen dominance that's happening, they're actually expecting that most couples are going to have to get IVF. I think it's by the year 2045, because of the fact that excess estrogens, toxic xenoestrogens, can lead to things like PCOS. For men as well, yes, this does have to do with any of you men that are watching, or the husbands or partners or brothers or, dads of any of the people who are watching this too. This has to do with the fact that for men, this estrogen dominance can actually decrease their sperm count by up to 50%, right? How crazy is that? How many of you just learned something new, right? Comment like, wow, below if you just learned something new. This has to do with both men and women. So this is really, really important for you to understand. So what happens now, right? Because now we understand how important the liver is. We understand why going long periods of time without eating, not good, it taxes the liver. Okay, cool, we understand that piece. What does this have to do with weight gain and the fact that you can't seem to lose that last 20 pounds? If your body is under toxic overload with having so many different toxic estrogens from all of these different things and microplastics, right? It's actually proven we eat up to a credit card's worth of plastic every single week, just like gnawing on a credit card, right? How disgusting is that? That is going into your system. These are things that you're being exposed to. Now, I don't want you to get scared. What I want you to do is understand how important it is now to apply the right nutritional processes so your body can detoxify itself daily, so that even though you might be taking in this stuff from the air we breathe and microplastics and things like that, you can feel confident that you're feeding your body with the right nutrients so that it can latch onto those toxins and help detoxify it daily. I'm not talking about crazy juice cleanses. I'm not talking about having to fast for 3 days. I'm not talking about any of those things. I have people that are detoxifying that are eating 1,800 calories a day. I have a girl just lose 10 pounds her first week because of the immense detoxification she went through, and she was eating over 1,800 calories, guys. There was no starvation going on. None of my clients starve. I actually just did an interview with two of my absolute, they're amazing, right? They're my couple, they're new parents, and they were both talking about how they felt amazing because they weren't starving on my plan. You don't need to starve yourself to detoxify. So when it comes to the fact that if your body is filled with all of these toxins, your body's filled with all the toxins from xenoestrogens, all these bad estrogens that are making you gain belly fat and fat on your thighs and making you feel sluggish and have PMS and PCOS and have headaches and all of these, things that are not fun. If those are in toxic overload in your body, what your body will do is it actually will store these in your fat cells, because most hormones and toxins are fat soluble. So what does your body do? It says, hey, your liver is spending so much time trying to just make sure that you're surviving by converting all this glycogen into glucose because you're going so long without eating. So obviously the liver is not able to process and eliminate all of these bad estrogens. So your body says, hey, if your liver can't get rid of it, what am I going to do? I'm going to store these toxins in your fat cells. Now, what does that happen? Your body says, I don't want to lose that fat, because if I lose the fat, the toxin is going to be released into the system. And then your body knows, it's really intelligent. It knows your liver is not going to be able to eliminate the toxins. So it says, no, it doesn't matter what you do. I don't care if you eat less. I don't care if you work out more. I don't care what it is that you do. Starve yourself if you want to. These fat cells are not going anywhere. That's what your body's saying, so that you don't go into full-blown toxic, whatever. So this is why the detoxification of bad hormones and detoxing in general is so important. Once again, using the system that we've created, not going to this random juice cleanse, right? Juice cleanses are not going to do that. So make sure that you understand, right? And I hope you're understanding this. If you're watching this right now, comment below, yes, if you can understand everything that I just mentioned, and if this is all making sense to you, right? This is super, super important stuff for you to get. So when it comes to the fact that now you get why you haven't been able to lose the last 20 pounds, right? But let's go even deeper. When it comes to having eaten things that are a little bit excessive when it comes to, let's say, carbohydrates, what happens in your body when you eat excess carbs, right? Because now we understand why it's important to eat every 3 hours, right? When you eat every 3 hours, your liver can actually function on helping support your system and detoxify all these bad hormones from your system. So takeaway number one, if you're writing things down, I highly suggest you do eat every 3 hours. Takeaway number two, understanding portion control on things like carbohydrates. Why is this important? It has to do with fatty liver. Now, liver, once again, we're focusing again on the liver. Fatty liver really has a big role, if I can speak, a big role that it plays when it comes to your thyroid, when it comes to keeping your metabolism revved up, and also, of course, when it comes to balancing your hormones. So when it comes to fatty liver, what happens is if you're eating the standard North American diet, which is lots of carbohydrates, right? It doesn't have to be sugar itself. It can be things like flour and packaged foods and crackers and bread and all of those kinds of things. We are in a carbohydrate overload in the world. Now, I'm not saying carbs are bad. Certain carbs are great. All of my clients eat carbs, right? This is important, but they eat certain specific amounts for their body so it doesn't overflow into fat. So what happens is if you eat more carbohydrates than your body can store in its muscles and in the liver, right? Remember at the beginning, I told you that your body stores its carbohydrates as glycogen in your muscles and also in your liver. Well, if you are constantly eating more than it can store, what happens? It overflows into fat. Also, what happens, this can turn into fatty liver, where essentially your liver has fat deposits in it. This also makes the capabilities of your liver decrease, right? It's no longer able to do all of those detoxification processes. Your liver really struggles when it goes through fatty liver. This is something a lot of people struggle with. So next takeaway that I want you to understand is if you're a woman, right, which I'm assuming most of you are that are watching this, understand that a portion for you of, let's say, a carbohydrate that, healthy carbs are things like sweet potato, things like oats, things like, quinoa, millet, all those amazing things. If you're eating those kinds of carbohydrates, all you need is half a cup's worth twice a day. That's all you need. Now, I'm not talking about fruit. Fruit's different from that, but that's all you need. Of course, if you're exercising a lot, if you're someone who's going to the gym a lot, that's a whole different story. But if you're living a fairly normal life, half a cup twice a day. This is the best way to support your liver. Make sure that the carbohydrates don't overflow into fat. This is going to help you lose weight, support your liver. It's also going to help with your thyroid. Last piece on this. Your liver is actually the place where the conversion of your thyroid hormone into its usable form, right, between T3 and T4, this is where most of that happens, is in your liver, right? So if your thyroid hormones are not able to convert into its usable form, and your thyroid, your understanding, also has to do with your metabolism and keeping it revved up, what do you think happens if your liver is constantly taxed by not eating, in short enough periods, and also by eating in excess of carbohydrates? That means your liver is going to struggle. That means it's no longer going to be able to convert your thyroid hormone into its usable form. And that means your metabolism is going to go down and you're going to gain weight faster. Are you getting this? Is this making sense? Right? So I want you to understand how important it is when it comes to supporting your liver and balancing your hormones by eating every 3 hours and having maximum half a cup of the starchy carbs that I just mentioned twice a day. These are two massive tips that I just gave you, right? That my paying clients pay a lot for. And I know that maybe if I were to just give you the tip, you would be like, okay, that doesn't sound like anything that complicated. But now you understand all the science behind it. Now you understand why, when people end up joining Purify, they see their meal plan. It's like very, very science packed. Everything is extremely intentional with meal plans. And that's why our clients get such great results. And now you're getting this information for free. So use this, guys. Don't just have a big breakthrough right now and be like, oh my God, this is amazing, and then just go back to your old ways. Use this information. Make sure you're writing this down. If you want the recording, I'm actually recording it this time. If you want the recording, send me a message after and say, hey, Stephanie, can I get the recording so I can actually maybe take some more notes and rewatch this again and unpack even more of the information. I'm happy to do that for you. We need to get this in the hands of as many women as possible. This is things that they should teach you in high school. Unfortunately, they don't, right? So let's do it now. Now, the last piece that I want to touch on when it comes to hormone balance is estrogen dominance. And I already really touched on that. So I don't really need to go even deeper. You're understanding how important it is to be able to decrease those toxic estrogens. And for you ladies that have struggled when it comes to losing weight off of your thighs, when it comes to losing weight off your hips, this is a really big sign. And being able to utilize these tips as well as the bonus recipe, right? I have a bonus detox recipe that I'm going to give you guys at the end of this on top of the gift. So make sure you stay until the end. Using these different tools will actually help you decrease these toxic estrogens in your system. And yes, this is something that you also need to do for any of you that are in menopause. Now, one last tool that I want to give you before we dive into section number 2 when it comes to losing belly fat, even though this section actually helps the most with losing belly fat, is understanding that eating things like cruciferous vegetables is something else I want you to add into your daily life. Why are cruciferous vegetables so important? I mean, your mom probably told you always to eat broccoli when you were a kid, but you were probably thinking, why? Like, this is gross. I don't want to eat my broccoli. Yeah, it's got vitamins, minerals, whatever it might be. Cruciferous vegetables actually contain a compound called Indole3 Carbinol. You can look it up. Super cool. And this compound actually helps latch on to toxins like heavy metals, like microplastics, like the bad estrogens, anything that's toxic in your system. This compound will latch onto it and help detoxify, help get rid of it from your system. What does that mean? You can lose weight faster, get rid of that belly faster. So make sure you're adding minimum 1 cup of cruciferous veggies, things like broccoli, kale, cauliflower, cabbage, into your diet every single day at the very minimum. What I normally stick to is try to have 1 cup of kale or so a day, and also add in a cup or so of some kind of other one, right? Whether it's the broccoli, cauliflower, or cabbage. These are 3 incredible tools that if you just use these tools, you will see a change, right? You will see a shift and you will start to lose weight. So let's dive into section number 2. But before we do, I just want to share super quickly, right? Why people quit. And I think this is really important to share with you because This will help you understand more of the reason why I've created the system that I create and why it has such a high success rate, is because of the fact that most of the time people quit, right? You will quit if you get no results. This is so basic. It's an understanding that is just like, you're probably like, yeah, Stephanie, of course, right? If I'm not getting results, then obviously I'm going to quit. But unfortunately, as much as this might be a simple and basic thing to understand, this is why so many of you have still not found the approach that works, right? If you're watching this, obviously you still want something to shift in your body. So when it comes to having no results, this is one of the reasons why it's so important to follow a system like the Purify system, or like, whichever one you feel aligns the best with you, is because of the fact that you should be getting fast results, but also that the results should last. So for instance, all of our clients see results within the first 1 to 2 weeks. They start to see the scale go down. They also have their energy goes way up within the first 1 to 2 weeks because of the detoxifying process that happens just due to the right foods that we've put into their meal plan. But also they start to feel their clothes fit a lot looser, right? They step on the scale, they see the numbers go down, they put on their clothes and they're like, oh my gosh, this is actually fitting looser. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my gosh, all the swelling and puffiness has gone down, right? This is normal stuff that all of our clients are able to experience within the first week to 2 weeks, guys. Now, if you had any of those results and you are starting a program, how motivated would you feel to keep going, right? If you stepped on the scale and you were like, oh my gosh, the numbers went down. You looked at yourself and you tried on clothes and it was loose and all of these amazing things, you have more energy. You're like, heck yeah, let's do this, right? So this is super important, guys. You should be getting fast results. Really, really key. Number 2 is people are disempowered by the lack of knowledge. Now, this is really key, and I already dove into why this is important. Every single thing that I do, I will always give you the why behind it. The what is not what's powerful, it's the why. Because when you understand the why, and I know that you're all intelligent women that are watching this, right? And I know that especially as intelligent women, you understand and you want to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And when you understand the why, you will actually stick with it, right? Because if all I did was tell you eat every 3 hours, have some broccoli, and also eat maximum half a cup of carbs, starchy carbs a day, on the first slide, you would be like, okay, cool. You would maybe do it for a day and then you'd leave it. But now I just gave you the really important, powerful reason why behind it. So you're like, oh crap, I better eat, right? Like, I get it. I get why I should be eating this. I now have tools in a toolkit. This is why people succeed. This is why I get to call my clients a year, 2 years after that we've worked with them. And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've totally sustained my results. I still look at the tools that you gave me and I still use them, right? This is what we absolutely love to do. And this is why the knowledge is so important. And last but not least, it's people overcomplicate, right? People like to give all of this, so many different coaches and approaches and whatever it might be, your favorite Instagram model that's like, try my app, do this, whatever it might be, right? And you look at the food and it's like, oh, it looks so delicious. And then you look at it and it's like, oh, 20 minutes, 30 minutes prep time with 20 different ingredients. So you have to go to 10 different grocery stores to get. And it's like, oh my gosh, who wants to do that, right? You're busy. I'm busy. I don't have time to spend 30 minutes cooking food. And this is what I do. I can only imagine you, right? That you probably have kids, or either you're married or you're working full time, you're running a business, you're creating an empire, whatever it might be. You are busy. You don't have time to spend hours and hours a day cooking and creating these complicated, elaborate meals. You want something fast. You want something that's done for you, something that's flexible so you can travel and you can actually live your life while losing weight. And this is why, once again, these tools are so important. This is why our clients have so much success, is because we keep it simple. We take the guesswork away, creating meals that have maximum 5 ingredients in them with 5 minutes prep time, right? This is what allows you to have long-term sustainable results. So this is why I really want to pre-frame with you guys, and also give you the understanding as to why it's so important to get results quickly, also why it's important to be empowered by knowledge, and why it's important to keep it simple. So let's dive into number 2, right? Step 2 of our system, which is the burn belly fat. And at this point, you will have already been burning belly fat, right? Like I said, people see numbers on the scale going down already within the first week of starting the system. But with this section, It really has to do with eating the right proportion of food for your body, and also the right proportion of macronutrients along with micronutrients and along with all the different steps and processes that we take to building the system. Now, why are the right proportions of food so important, right? And this is one thing that's lacking in the market right now. It seems to be one or the other. You'll either have one coach and one person saying, oh, eat intuitively, or, eat all of these superfoods, and it doesn't really matter, just eyeball it, right? The quantity. Then you have the other coach that's like, oh, just follow a macro diet. As long as, whatever it is that you're eating fits into this amount of calories and these macros, you're good. You can eat chips and cake and cookies and all this stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, both of those approaches are so off. And that's why people are getting so messed up. First of all, macros and the amount of calories that you're eating, all of these different calculations, these are important. This is why, and this is a big reason why we have so much success, is because these are all calculated for you, right? But if you already have your own macros and calories that you've been calculating, or you have an idea of that, and you're wanting to apply the types of food, this is where combining the right macros and calories for your body, right? Depending on if you're an athlete, depending on if you train, if you just work out a lot, depending on if you're someone that is a little bit more sedentary, if you're someone that wants to do some healing, all of these things determine how many carbohydrates, how many fats, how many proteins, right? These will change depending on your body type and also the kind of, outcome that you want to get. These will all shift. They're all different for every single one of my clients. Not every single one of them has the same macros and calories, right? We have people that are eating anywhere between 1,400 to 1,900 calories, right? That we're working with. It's different for everyone. But then there's the other piece. And these two pieces together are the key. It's like the gears in a car. You can have all the different pieces, but if even one of them is broken, the whole system won't work. You'll stop losing weight or you won't lose weight at all. And this is why all these pieces are so key. So it comes to down your calories, your proportions of food that you're eating, but also the types of food. So it's the two processes together. When you marry them together, this is what gives absolutely amazing results. Fast results, guys, right? So key, right? Just like I said, losing 9, 10, 8 pounds, 6 pounds, within their first week. Those are the kinds of results that a lot of our clients get. So then when it comes down to having the right combination, right, these are really key for your meals. And if you're already doing something right now, then make sure you're incorporating the two, the kind of food that you're eating and also the calories and macros. That's number one. Number two is eliminating cravings. This is huge. Just like I said at the beginning, imagine how much more successful you would be and how much more you would stick to a program if your cravings went away. This is where the kinds of foods are so important as well when it comes to detoxifying your gut and your adrenals. Now, what are two of the biggest reasons why you have cravings? It's those two things, your gut and your adrenals. Now, we could do a whole other masterclass on gut health, a whole other one on adrenals, but just for the sake of keeping it simple, make sure that you're understanding that, okay, within your gut. So if you're someone who has maybe taken antibiotics at any point in your life, maybe you've been sick, maybe you've eaten the standard North American diet that's super high in acidity, right? All of these different things. This can end up causing so much damage to your gut. It can kill off the good bacteria and actually allow something called Candida, which is a yeast overgrowth, to happen in your gut. Now, Candida, like I said, this can happen from having gone on antibiotics, eating the standard North American diet, eating a lot of acidic foods, eating takeout a lot, all of those different things can end up causing Candida. But the problem is that Candida feeds off of sugar and carbs. So the more sugar and carbs you feed it, the more you want it. So it's a vicious cycle. So what happens is, and this is the reason why most of our clients eliminate cravings within the first week or two, is because of the fact that we give them the right kinds of foods to help get rid of this Candida, right? Now, what happens is the moment where you start to shift the kind of food that you're eating, you eliminate those bad toxic foods, you start to add in the right ones like we talked about, cruciferous veggies, eating carbohydrates that are like millet or sweet potato, right? Eating less carbohydrates, more fats and proteins. If you're wanting to heal your gut, that's a way that can really help you. So this is a really big tip for you guys when it comes to eliminating the Candida, is decrease the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating and also increase the fat and the protein that you're eating. Healthy fats are things like avocado, things like coconut oil, things like hemp hearts, right? These are one of the, some of the most standard healthy fats that I go to. Things that are healthy proteins, if you're a meat eater, can be grass-fed, any kind of grass-fed meat. I usually don't eat pork or tuna, but any grass-fed meat, right? Salmon is great as well. You know, even beans, right? Beans, lentils, if you're someone who is, you know, vegan or vegetarian, whatever it might be, right? These are great protein sources. So this will actually help be able to eliminate and starve the Candida so that the Candida is no longer literally yelling at your brain saying, feed me sugar, right? That's where a big portion of your cravings are coming from. Once you eliminate the Candida, which guys, it's not always going to be so hard. Sometimes it's hard at the beginning, but I want to give you guys the little like liberation to understand that it's not always going to be so tough, right? The first day or two, yeah, of course. But like I said, and like you saw at the beginning, within a week or two, these cravings can be gone. So really, really key piece to understand. And of course, the second part of that is your adrenals, right? If you have been under a high level of stress for a long time, right? Because stress and cortisol, which is our stress hormone, if you have elevated cortisol for long periods of time, this will lead to adrenal fatigue, and this can essentially lead to you having a lot more cravings for sugar and carbs to give you energy. So when it comes to your cortisol, right, we were actually created as primal beings to have cortisol be something that actually helped us in our fight or flight. It either helped us fight something like a saber-toothed tiger or run away from it to save our lives, right? So the saber-toothed tiger would come, we'd either fight it or run away from it. Our cortisol would spike to give us the energy to do that, and then it would go back down. Cortisol is kind of like a reverse insulin, right? You think of insulin as the hormone that helps take the glucose in your blood from having eaten sugar and carbs, shuttle it into your cells for energy. Whereas cortisol does the opposite. It helps release the glucose into your blood to give you the energy to fight the thing or run away from it. But the problem is that these days we don't have, you know, saber-toothed tigers running around, and most of our stressors are not life or death. So what happens is you have these emotional stressors, you have kids, you have work, you have spouse, you have whatever's going on, right? Sister, brother, mom, dad, like all of these different things and this overload of information, and now a pandemic and all these things that are causing chronically elevated cortisol. So what happens is essentially your blood glucose can be staying extremely high. Yes, you can end up with insulin resistance, which is pre-diabetes from stress. I actually ended up with this before. So this is important for you to understand why stress also has to do with your cravings. So if you've had chronically elevated cortisol, there's a whole protocol that I actually take people through with this kind of issue. But I want you to understand that it also very much so ties into helping essentially give your adrenals a vacation, give them a break. And what happens is eating extra salt, extra sugar is going to make them pump even harder, because sugar and salt actually stimulates your adrenal gland. Same thing with coffee and also alcohol. So if you're feeling like any of these symptoms are happening and you're really struggling with like evening snacking and a lot of sugar and carb cravings, start to look back and see if you might be struggling with a bit of adrenal fatigue, if you've been super stressed for a while. And if you have, what I want you to do is do just like with the gut detox protocol, is I want you to start to eat more fat and more carbohydrates, which I just went over. So if you want, to go back over that, just ask me for the recording of this so you can jot those down. So eat more of those things to give your adrenals a break. And then once you've gotten a little bit better, then you can start to reintroduce more of the carbs. So these are two of the main reasons why you will have salt and sugar cravings and how to eliminate them, right? Makes sense? Comment makes sense and value below if this is helping you out. Amazing, amazing. Now, last part to this that I want to cover, guys, is volumetrics, right? How you can eat more to lose more weight. Now, this is one of the reasons where I'm sure at the beginning you heard me mention, right, that one of our clients, she was eating over 1,800 calories and she still lost 10 pounds her first week. And same thing with all our other clients, right? We actually feed people. You're eating lots of food. But what is the principle of volumetrics? It's a fancy word to essentially say eating foods that have a bigger volume, right? It's a bigger quantity of food, but instead of having calorie dense food, it's nutrient dense. So let's just use the example, right? You can have a massive salad full of kale and quinoa and a bunch of healthy things and salmon, all of this great stuff, right? That can take up a bowl like this big, right? Or a nice big salad or a big bowl of really delicious, healthy food. That can be, let's say, about 500 calories. Then you can also go eat 2 Mars bars that are also around 500 to 600 calories, right? That take up this much room, but they're packed with sugar, they're packed with, carbs, they're packed with, unhealthy fats, all of these awful things. You eat the 2 Mars bars, you're still going to be hungry. Whereas after you ate that big, massive meal, you're not hungry anymore with all the salad and the protein and all of those things, right? Remember, the Mars bars were calorie dense. The other food is nutrient dense. That is the reason why our clients get to eat so much. So start shifting the kind of food that you're eating. Instead of eating food that is so dense in calories, what I want you to do is start to shift the food that you're eating to whole foods, things that are like kale, things that are like vegetables and proteins and all of those things. And you'll notice you get to eat way more of it. So you're never going to be hungry. This is huge. Is this making sense, guys? Comment yes if this is making sense. Now, lastly is obviously the cardio. And the cardio piece is one thing that I do obviously alter. It's not the number one reason why people are able to lose weight, because let me tell you, when you follow a structured plan, when you implement the tools I'm giving you right now, in order to be able to help support your body, you will lose weight without going to the gym. This is really important for you to understand, because I get that you're super busy, right? I get you're probably super busy. You don't have time sometimes to go to the gym. And what happens is, if you've been feeling sluggish because your hormones were off, right? You've been feeling sluggish, you had low energy, you also don't have a lot of time, you're running around, you're taking care of the house, you're taking care of kids, you're, taking care of a business, work, spouse, all of those things. You don't want to have to spend time and stress about going to the gym. Now, I'm not saying that not going to the gym is a good thing. I'm not saying you should never work out in your life. But what I'm saying is you can still lose weight without going to the gym. I had so many different clients that even though I provide a portion that is cardio and, kind of weight training or bands or at home stuff, right? Some of them didn't even do it and they still lost weight. I actually just did an interview with my couple last night, and they were saying how they were so busy with their newborn, they didn't have time to go to the gym, but they're still losing weight, right? They still went to put their clothes on, and the one was like, oh my gosh, I have to wear a belt now with my pants. And, the other one was like, yeah, she felt so much better in her yoga pants because she lost 4 inches, right? Hardly went to the gym at all. So what does this mean? This means now all the stress of, oh my gosh, I have to work out. I have to work out to lose weight. All of this is gone. And now you're finally starting to be like, oh my gosh, all I need to do is spend a few minutes a day putting together these meals, and I'm actually able to have more energy. I'm starting to lose weight. I'm starting to feel better. Now I actually kind of want to go to the gym. Now I actually kind of want to go for a jog or for a bike ride, or, have fun and play with my kids, right? This is the order that I want you to go in. I don't want you to have to drag yourself out of the bed and go to the gym and spend hours on the treadmill, or, spend hours, I don't know, walking, because maybe you can't go to the gym right now because of the pandemic, right? I don't want that, right? So this is why it's so important for you to understand you don't need to go to the gym to lose weight if you're following the right nutrition protocol, if you're implementing these protocols right now. So super awesome, guys. If this is making sense, and if you're loving this, and if you're excited about this, right? Excited about not having to stress about the gym anymore and still look and feel amazing, this is definitely something that I want you to implement. So the last but not least section, which we went over the 2 most important ones, right? The last but not least section is the tone and maintain. This is also really key. And of course, sculpting is using workouts. Now, I want to shift, like I already mentioned, your mindset and your whole thought process on how fat loss happens, on how you can lose your belly, how you can look and feel better, how you can have those strong, sexy curves, right? The first thing you should do, because most likely, if you're like everybody else that I know and that I've talked to, the first thought that comes into your mind when you think, oh, I need to lose weight, is I better get to the gym, or I better start working out. I better buy weight so I can work out at home. I better start running, whatever it might be. If that's your first thought, comment me below, right? Comment me as in like, yeah, I've had that thought. And that's what I think. That's what you're supposed to do, right? If you need to lose weight, you need to go to the gym. This is not true. This is a myth. Once again, not true. And for all of the reasons I just spent the past like 45 minutes talking to you guys. And really, the first thing you should be thinking about instead is actually eating better, eating properly, is actually fueling your body with the right foods and the right proportions, right? To balance your hormones, detoxify, be able to have the right nutrients going into your system so you're not hungry all the time, so that you start to just shed the belly fat. You wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you weigh less, you step on the scale and the number's gone down. You're like, yes, right? This is what you should be focusing on, is nutrition. Think of it like a statue. When you're sculpting a statue, the first thing you do is not take out the tiny little chisel to make the tiny little, kind of ending little chisels to it. What you do is you start to take out like the big tool and you start to at least shape it out so it sort of looks like a person. Think of that big tool like the nutrition, right? You're sort of shaping it out so it looks like a prison. You're getting rid of all of that excess fat, all those excess layers. And then you're taking out the little chisel, and this is the toning for the workouts, right? This is the workouts, is your little chisel. Now you're chiseling away. Now you're starting to get the extra lines, right? Now you're starting to get the extra curves, all these extra amazing things. So this is where the workouts come in, and this is why I put it last. Of course, when it comes to the system I use, you have access to the workouts through the entire time. I, of course, always recommend working out is great, but I always use the phrase, use the kitchen for shredding, and then your workouts for empowerment and just for energy and feeling amazing, right? Feeling strong. So leave the shredding for the kitchen. So now that you understand this fact and that I've totally shifted your mind and totally, changed the way that you approached weight loss, I want you to understand the fact that the long-term tools in education are super important. This is so that you get to do things like travel, go to family get-togethers, right? Actually enjoy a night out with friends, actually enjoy some tasty food sometimes, all these different things. You actually get to have a life, and you actually get to maintain the results that you've spent so long and that you put so much effort into getting, right? Because if you've tried other programs and you've struggled with this before, this is why it's so, so important for you to have the right tools to be able to sustain this long term. This masterclass is one of those tools. Giving you the education about what kinds of foods are good for your body is one of those tools. This is one of the reasons why, when it comes to the system that I use every single week, I actually provide my high-level clients with a module every single week. It's about 20 minutes long, and they get to watch it, and it shares an extra super deep mindset hack to help them stay on track, and also a really deep nutrition hack to help them understand, oh wow, this is why I'm eating blueberries. This is why I'm eating this carrot salad that I'm going to share with you guys in a second. I get it now, right? So this is why it's really important to have the educational tools. Also, why it's important to understand the amount of food that your body needs and in what proportions, right? Because when you understand this, and this is why my clients literally are able to keep their fat loss and maintain these results forever, is because I actually teach you how to eat. So when it comes down to using these strategies right now that I just taught you, understanding the proportions of foods that your body eats, using concepts like volumetrics and things, you're starting to understand like, okay, like, yeah, I'm starting to get this a little bit, right? Starting to get that my body is going to need a specific amount of food. And when you understand that, and you understand that template of what a day's worth of food looks like for you, you're then able to say, hey, when I go to the restaurant, I just get to pick this meal, right? That even though it's not exactly what's on my meal plan or exactly what Stephanie said, I understand enough about nutrition to be able to sub those foods in and out so that long term you can maintain those results. You can go out and you can not feel guilty if you're going to a barbecue with people or you're going out for dinner, right? You can travel as well for work, for pleasure, whatever it might be, and understand enough about food to literally just create your own meals as you go and still lose weight and maintain it long term. Such a big weight lifted off of your shoulders, right? You can travel and have fun and still lose weight. Now, last but not least is eating what you want and still losing weight. This happens later on. This happens once you've balanced your hormones, once you've really reached, that goal weight loss that you want to go to. This is why I get to eat whatever I want, essentially at this point, and still maintain, right? I get to, of course, I still within reason, but I get to enjoy tasty food. I still get to enjoy some of my favorite stuff, but I don't have to worry about gaining weight super quickly because of the fact that I've kept the rest of my system in place. So this really just takes a whole weight off your shoulders. You're truly able to live your life, enjoy your life, but also be able to enjoy it even more because you're feeling good, you're feeling healthy, you're feeling energized, you're not feeling bloated anymore. You actually have the energy to run around and play with your kids, right? And when it comes to the toning part, this also helps when it comes to keeping you strong so that you can watch your grandchildren, grow up, so that you can actually feel super intimate and sexy with your partner when you take your clothes off. You can feel good naked, right? You can go deeper in your relationships. You can, be taken more seriously because a lot of women struggle with that, right? If you don't feel good in your body and you feel like you have a belly or you don't feel good in your clothes, then it's hard for you to show up for business or any kind of thing where you're actually taken seriously. So these are things that are really, really key, guys, and truly help transform your life. Like I've said before, I talk about fat loss a lot, but it's about what happens when you lose the weight. It's about what it does for your life. This is what's truly, truly important. So if this is making sense, guys, I really hope that it is. And I'm really, really glad I got to spend this time with you today. And before we go, I promised you a couple of gifts and a couple of things that I wanted to give you at the end of this masterclass. And the first one is my secret fat loss recipe that's helped people lose up to 6 pounds in 1 week without changing anything else in your diet. So I actually had a few women do this, right? All they did was add in this recipe. They didn't change anything else in their diet, and they lost 6 pounds in 1 week. How amazing is that? Now, what does it use? It uses carrots, right? It's super cheap. What did I say? Using food as medicine. Why is carrots so important and so healing? Well, what carrots do, only when you shred them, right? When you eat them the way that I have put here, which I'll dive into the recipe in a second, is carrots will actually help latch on, and this is shredded carrots, because the fibers in the shredded carrots, when they go into your gut, will help latch on to toxins, to endotoxins, toxins within your body, things like all of the toxic plastics, like the toxic heavy metals, like the toxic hormones, right? The xenoestrogens. They will latch onto that and help pull it out of your body. So it's actually been proven, and once again, for women with menopause, this is really important, because if you have lots of toxic estrogens in your system, it can actually make your symptoms worse, right? Everybody else, really, really helpful, even doesn't matter menopause or not, super helpful for weight loss, especially on your legs, right? Those really tough areas, and on your belly too, right? It will help get rid of that fat. So the reason why is because of this. And when it comes to lowering those toxic estrogens, guys, within 2 days, it was actually a doctor called Dr. Pete who created this recipe and who really understood and found carrots to be such a healing food and a detoxifying food. And he actually did studies, and they noticed that within 48 hours, the women who ate this recipe the way it was prepared, and when they ate it alone on an empty stomach, their estrogen levels of the toxic estrogens decreased within 48 hours. How awesome is that? So how do you eat the carrot salad? You literally just peel a carrot, try to make sure it's organic, and you just shred it, right? Shred about one medium carrot. It'll create about 1 cup of shredded carrot. And then I want you to add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar or white wine vinegar. Don't use the regular white vinegar because there's no healing properties in that anymore, right? It's been processed. So apple cider vinegar is the best. And then 1 teaspoon of melted coconut oil. And just dash of pink salt, right? Put a crack of pink salt or sea salt on it, and you're good to go. Make sure you eat it on by itself on an empty stomach. You don't want to eat this with other food. Don't eat it as like a side dish or, oh, I'm going to have this with my lunch or whatever it is. No, eat it alone on an empty stomach. So what I always suggest is eat this 2 hours after breakfast and 1 hour before lunch by itself. Just have the carrot salad. Try it, guys. Let me know how this goes for you. I'm super excited to hear how this goes because, like I said, we've had so many clients have such amazing results just with this recipe on its own. So are you excited? Are you super excited to try this? Comment carrots below if this is just like blown your mind, right? You're like, what? I had no idea I could use carrots for that. And then, of course, last but not least, I want to leave you with some long-term strategies. So at this point, there's going to be 2 kinds of people, that are watching this masterclass. There's going to be the first kind of person that is saying, hey, you know what, Stephanie, thanks so much. You gave me so much useful information. I'm going to use all this info. I'm going to go apply it and I'm going to get some results. Amazing. Yes, 100%. Love you, honor you. You totally will, right? I gave some really high level stuff in this. So you'll definitely get results with this info. But then there's the second kind of person, right? The second kind of person that's like, okay, this is making total sense. How do I get there faster? I want to just, have my hand held. I want to get the system laid out for me step by step. And I want to know that within 90 days, I'm able to lose 20 pounds, right? We've had some people lose 30 pounds in 90 days. We've also had other people lose a little bit less. It depends on your body, but on average, 20 pounds seems to be the average that we've had. So getting that guaranteed, right? You might be that person that's like, I've felt super aligned. I took the quiz, like all of this stuff is making so much sense. How do I get there faster? I want to take the guesswork out of it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to have to research online to see what kind of foods, I should add in and what detoxes and all these different things, right? I just want it done for me. I want it done faster. If you're that kind of person, let me just lay out super quick the long-term strategies and the things that go along with our program, right? Because when it comes to the program, you already kind of understand it, right? It comes with an in-depth meal plan where you get literally a full day's worth, a template along with your calories and your macros, that is customized to your body. So once you fill out a long questionnaire, you'll actually get that meal plan, and it will give you exactly what foods to eat, how much to eat, take all of the guesswork out of it. You also get substitution lists, which are the tools we use for long-term results. You also get weekly live Q&As. You also get support, depending on if you go with the Purify Silver or Gold options, support either directly from me or support through email directly from me. You also get access, lifetime access to the Health Hub, which is my amazing exclusive community filled with other women that are supporting each other, motivating each other every single day. It's awesome. You also get a customized cardio program and an either at home or in the gym weight training program. We give all that to you, and we literally have a 99% success rate. So we literally take you by the hand and give you the proven strategy and blueprint, and within a week or two, you'll be rocking and already getting results. I know it. So that's the strategy, guys. And what I want to do at this point, like I said, long-term, is getting a specialized meal plan. I can't say how key and important this is for you, not only for your body, but also for your stress, right? Because knowing and being, having the weight taken off of you, of actually understanding, like, all I have to do is just follow this and I know I'm going to get results. Yeah, that's how simple it is, right? It's just like the analogy we use with the mechanic. I'm not going to go to school for 2 years to become a mechanic so I can fix my car. I'm just going to drive the car to the mechanics, get it fixed, know with 100% certainty I'm going to get the results, and that's it, right? I get it done within a day. That's the same thing. That's what we do. We're like mechanics for your body, right? So that's why these long-term strategies are so key. And I'm going to actually give you a gift in 1 second, which is the whole reason why I invited you to stay here for the full 75 minutes, because at the end, I actually want to I'm going to give every single one of you who are watching this and who you've said you're person number 2, right? You said you're person number 2, or maybe you were person number 1, but then once I talked about number 2, you're like, that sounds kind of good. I kind of want to have this done for me too, right? I don't want to have to think. I don't want to have to create all this stuff and, figure out what foods to eat, what are my macros, what are my calories, what are all these different things, and, have to do it on your own too, without being supported and without having all the guesswork taken out of it. You're kind of thinking, that sounds kind of good, right? So what I want to do is every single one of you that's watching this right now, I want to give you, and this is kind of crazy, but I love you all so, so much. And I truly, truly want to help you. And I believe that this is something that all of us need to have, even to help your kids, your husband, your spouse, whatever it might be. You can do this together as a family, right? That's what I just did with a couple of other people. They're doing this as a family. It's helping all of them, right? Is getting this and being able to have a $500 voucher. I'm going to give you a $500 voucher that's only going to be able to be used for the next 72 hours, right? Because I have to be fair for everyone. So for the next 72 hours, I'm going to give you a $500 voucher that you can use towards any single one of my Purify Silver or Gold programs. Guys, this is crazy. Like, comment crazy below if you're just like, oh my gosh, wow, that's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot, right? And the only reason I want to do that is because I do want to help you. And I know that the moment where every single person, they come on board, the moment they get the program and the moment that first week goes by, they're like, why didn't I do this earlier, right? I thought that maybe this was going to be like all the other programs I did, but I realized this is so, so different. Like, I've never been educated on this level. I've never felt this empowered. I've never actually understood my body and nutrition on this level. And I've actually never gotten results this fast. So this is really key, guys. Like, it is totally different from anything that you've ever done before. And the only reason I know that is because I've done it all. And I've been with clients that have done it all. This is totally different. And yes, it is a higher investment to work with us, which is why I want to give you the $500 voucher, right? Because it is a higher investment simply because you get guaranteed results. That's it, right? We get people results and they keep it off. So this is why it's so key, guys. And if you're interested in being able to use this voucher, what we would want to do, because we want to make sure that we get to use it on the program and the system that's going to work best for your body, is we'll also offer you a 15-minute free consult call. So if you're interested in being able to use this voucher, right? If you want to use this $500, you're saying, you know what, I'm ready, because this is not for you, right? If you're someone who's looking for a magic pill, if you're someone who's lazy, right? If you're someone who's a tire kicker, if you're just looking for, the next freebie, this is not for you, right? But this is for you if you are someone who's a massive action taker, someone who's ready to do whatever it takes right now to get their body and their health to the next level, someone who's sick and tired of where you're at and who's really reached the point where you're saying enough is enough. Like, I'm ready to do whatever it takes to change. Yes, we love you. We absolutely honor you. We're totally excited for you for being in this space. This is when it gets exciting, right? That's an exciting place to be in. And this is 100% the system for you if you're that person number 2. So if you are number 2, use the $500 voucher. And how to use it is I want you to just send me a message, right? And send me a message saying $500, right? Use my Facebook Messenger, or if you're watching this on Instagram, just send me a message. Send me a message saying 500. And what we will do is we'll set up that call for you. Now, just a couple other success stories, because I love being able to celebrate my clients, is, one of them here, right? She lost 18 pounds in 12 weeks. How amazing is that? Look at those curves coming out. Absolutely love it. And another one here, she lost 10 pounds her first week. This is one of the girls I was telling you about. 10 pounds and 5 inches off her first week. She's saying, I have so much more energy already and can fit back into some of my clothes that I couldn't before. It's been a little bit slower this week, but I kind of expected that. 100%, right? It does level off a little bit, but 10 pounds, guys, and she can finally fit into her clothes. Now, here too, this is what a regular progress looks like of our clients. Now you can see that within only 6 weeks, guys, she lost 12.5 pounds, or close to 13 pounds in 6 weeks. That's absolutely amazing. And within those same 6 weeks, 8 inches off of her waist. This was another client. How awesome is that? And just lastly, absolutely love celebrating these people. This morning weigh-in, I'm happy to say I have reached my goal of losing 20 pounds in 12 weeks. Yes, 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 I love it. And another beautiful lady here, this program has changed my life, and that's the truth. I went clothes shopping, size medium shirts for the most part, and down a size in pants, hands down, maybe 2. Whoop, whoop. I love it, love it, love it. And also I love that there's a piece that's missing here of the message that literally said, this actually helps me be able to feel like my outside matches my inside, which is beautiful, right? Which that's really the reason why I do this. It's so exciting to me. And the last one, I love celebrating this woman because she worked with me for 12 weeks. She was one of the ones that lost actually 30 pounds, which is amazing in 12 weeks. And this was the picture she took as her after picture, right? She's jumping on a trampoline because she used to be a gymnast. And I remember her messaging this. I still remember it vividly. She sent me a message. She's like, this is the first time since I've had my kids that I have had the energy and I've had the desire to actually go back and jump on a trampoline in at least 15 to 20 years. And she was thanking me, and it was so beautiful. So I just love celebrating her. Those are the kinds of wins that I want for you guys, right? So to claim that $500, like I said, only 72 hours to do it. Make sure that you send me a DM with the word 500 in it. And then I'll know that you're coming from this masterclass, and then we can set up your free consult call so that you can use that $500, guys. So on that, I want to thank you so, so much for sharing this space with me, for committing to being here for these 75 minutes, and for really going deep. Really, I want to honor you. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so excited to help you on the other side. So I hope you have such an amazing rest of your day, and remember that the planet absolutely needs your greatness right now more than ever. All right, ciao guys.